Yes, so we're recording in progress, so I'm glad that that has come on. Please note that we will be recording today's session. So I will put out a disclaimer that if anyone is here that they should be sitting next to or they're here with someone, we don't want a Coldplay moment. So I want to make sure that everyone it feels comfortable with whomever they're sitting next to and they're here for official business. Okay, I guess I'll say it that way. And in addition, just a couple of housekeeping rules. Right out to my left and your right, if you need the restroom or water, you just go out here, go up the steps, and the restrooms are there and there's a water fountain there. Again, thank you so much for coming out on today to hear about the great news of what we at Diverse Erie are planning as we move forward. Before I get started as far as with the formal presentation, what I'd like to do is just go around the room briefly and have you introduce yourself, state your name and what organization you're representing and how long you've been with that organization. So three things: your name, the name of the organization, and how long you've been with the organization. We'll start with you.
Yeah. I'm Katie Cross. I'm the Director of Community Outreach for Erie Federal Credit Union. I've been with the organization for 10 years.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Jeff Fatika. I'm with Paramount Pursuits, and I've been with Paramount for 3 years.
I'm Bishop Curtis Jones Sr. Actually, I've wearing two hats today. New Life and Spirit Revival Center, 20 years, and the Historical Institute of Culture and the African American Experience, 2 years.
Okay, thank you.
Curtis Jones Jr. Two hats as well. I want to be like my dad when I grow up. I'm here representing the Historical Institute of Culture and the African American Experience as well, but also in my hat as a member and a team member of the Erie Regional Chamber to be able to share this information with some of our partners and members of the chamber as well.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yes.
Karen Thomas, Pineapple Real Estate Development. I have been part of that, or at least owned that, for 3 years.
Thank
Yes, so that's diverse from what I have been doing.
And I've been with the chamber for 3 years. I'm sorry, I didn't
Thank you.
complete
No,
the assignment.
Sure. Thank you. Right here.
Deborah Johnson, and I'm with CJ DJ Erie Properties. I've been with them since 2014. I am the owner.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you.
Joseph Williams, Joe's Reynolds, and I've been renting properties for the past 40 years and looking to expand on my business. And I've had convenience stores and things in the past.
Okay, wonderful.
Hi, everyone. My name is Murtada Al-Sad, and I'm with El Medina Supermarket. And we've been open for the last almost next month, 8 years.
Okay, wonderful. So again, my name is Gary Lee. I am the Chief Administrative Officer for the Erie County Erie County Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Commission, also known as Diverse Erie. I've been there 3.5 years. Prior to that, I was the Director of Administration for the County of Erie, where I oversaw the operations for the county, where 10 departments I was responsible for, 800 employees, from planning to the health department to public safety to actually the warden reported to me. So that was a fun position. I did that for 8 years. Prior to that, I worked in Harrisburg for 13 years, first with Governor Ridge. I ran his minority business development program for the Commonwealth. And then secondly, under Governor Ridge, Governor Rendell, shall I say, I ran his construction and engineering division for 4 years. Now I've been back in Erie, and I was just sharing this with someone. I've been back here about 13 years. Time flies when you're having fun, but I've been gone probably about half my professional life, but it's always good to be back in Erie. You know that when we started the Erie County Erie County Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission, it was really founded back in 2020 after the demise of Mr. Floyd. You know, when he passed away or when he got murdered, it was unfortunate. The country was in an uproar trying to figure out where we go. One of the things that the administration and county council at that time decided was to come up with a resolution declaring health a public crisis. And we know that since then, things have gotten better, but in some ways, things have gone backwards. So what we're trying to do now with the money from the ARP, American Rescue Plan, we were initially committed $10 million, and it went from 10 down to 3.5. We got it back up to 5. We were shooting for 7. It's just the way the rest of the country is going. From the private sector, during that same time back in 2020, corporate America pledged $50 billion. That's what it'd be, $50 billion. To date, they have spent $250 million, which is half of 1%, not even 1%. And now it's even going back even further. The way things are looking right now, it appears that most of the companies investing more, they're going and taking away and investing less. I'm here to say that the money that we have received, the 3.5, we did an independent study. It was done by Parker Strategy. If you haven't had an opportunity to review it, please review it. It showed that $3.5 million that we invested in Erie County has a $5.7 million impact, economic impact, to the tune of creating and sustaining 32 jobs. We were able to invest with 54 small businesses. And then in addition, for every dollar that we invested in the county, there was a return of $1.63, which is a 63% return, which is outstanding. We also took $500,000 and leveraged a small business fund with the Erie County Redevelopment Authority. And we were able to attract another $1.5 million. That fund is a total of $2 million. To date, as we stand here, about 1.5 has been lent on the street. We have about a balance of 500,000 that we're looking to get out the door. But that by itself has been able to retain and create over 113 jobs. So the goal from my perspective of leading the commission is that the infrastructure that we continue to build will be here long after the commission is gone. We don't know how long the commission will be here. When you start these initiatives, I think one of the key, from my perspective, one of the key things to do is to work backwards and say, what is it, if it ended 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what would you like the legacy to be? What would you like the story to be? And that's what we're attempting to do. Now, on today, what we're going to be covering, you received these guidelines here as far as dealing with the program. If you haven't had a chance to read them, I wouldn't say read them down, definitely read them afterwards. What I'm going to be covering today and part of my goal is to cover the application and to cover the funding that is available, to cover a little bit about what it is our intent for this particular part of the initiatives, and to address any type of questions that you may have. So in saying that, I'm going to get right into the presentation. So our goal is, as you can see, generational impact, building generational impact. We are going to have initiatives, and I call them investments. Sometimes you'll hear it called grants, and I don't have a problem with the word grant, but I like to use the word investment because we are looking for a return. And in that return, we're looking to build Erie to be more equitable, to be more inclusive, and to have prosperity for all people. So these are investments from my perspective. So the investments will range from $100,000 to $250,000. The 3 areas that we will be covering is healthcare, construction, trades, and home ownership. And by the way, this presentation will be available on our website afterwards. So you don't have to write every note and write everything I'm saying, but just want to let you know that. Next slide, please, Kyle. So the investment overview, eligibility. Again, I said that the funds that we're looking to invest will be $100,000 to $250,000. It does require a dollar for dollar match. Must be able to measure community impact. Of course, it must be in Erie County, and the organization or business must be in good standing with the local government as well as state and federal government, from the aspect mainly from taxes. The healthcare initiative that we're looking to partner with organizations or businesses, it deals with any type of disparity from a health perspective that has impacted the BIPOC community. We're really looking for organizations that are doing something in that space, and we're not going to tell the organization what they should be doing, whether it's offering healthcare, whether it's offering mental health and well-being care. It is up to the individuals to submit an application based on what it is that they do. What I just named, there are a couple things, but the total allocation for that particular section is $400,000. Next, construction trades, programs diversifying the workforce industry. So we know that there's a shortage when you talk about pre-apprenticeships and journeymen and women in that particular area. We're looking for organizations or businesses that are doing something and want to improve the outcomes in that area. The total dollar amount is $250,000 for that section. Last but not least is home ownership in the BIPOC community as it pertains to Erie County. We know that home ownership, in particular for African Americans, at least in Erie County, the last official numbers I saw put it at below 4%. I have heard that it is doing a little better, but I haven't seen any data since the numbers that I have seen, and it was about 4%, a little bit below 4%. So we're looking for businesses, organizations, and even banks that are doing something in the space of home ownership, and whether it's down payments, whether it is application fees, whether it's dealing with providing counseling to those particular areas. It is up to the organization or the business to submit their plan, to share with us what it is that they're doing, and go from there. And again, the total dollar amount for that section is $250,000. Next slide, please. So the application process step by step, and I'm not going to go through and read all this to you, but we see that the project information, you'll want to, of course, talk about the project. You'll want to talk about the eligibility verification, meaning that it is in Erie County, that you are current with your particular taxes, and also to discuss what type of legal entity as far as how you're set up. Organization details are providing legal information, talk about your web presence, talk about your leadership structure, project narrative, talk about what it is that your project hopes to accomplish with this particular proposal, and how you'll go about implementing it, as well as how you're going to measure the outcomes of what it is that you're proposing. And then supporting documentation, which will be annual reports, insurance, and organizational logo, any type of data of that from that perspective. Next slide, please. This was exactly what I just kind of talked about. As you go through the application, and some of you probably have already seen this, the application is going to be broken down into sections. These are some of the key sections. You're just going to talk about what I just shared a little bit about the project summary, the title, the organization, the funding request. And I can't say enough about the funding request, how important it is that you be as detailed as possible, because the committee, and the committee that we'll be reviewing is, it's a grants review committee, which is part of the, made up of the commission. It consists of 4 members, and we're going to look to add probably 2 more members from the community. And what they're going to do is evaluate all the applications and make recommendations to the full board. But getting back to the funding request, when you do your budget, I can't stress enough that you share a breakdown of how you have come up with that budget and the matching funds. And we're going to cover a little bit about what constitutes matching funds. Next slide, please. So these are some ideals that we feel would be very imperative as being a part of your proposal. Defining the community as far as the BIPOC population and who it's going to represent, and where in Erie County you're targeting. The established need, if you have data showing what the needs are in that particular community, that would be very helpful. Detailed implementation, how you're going to go about tracking it, who's going to be a part of the operational plan to do such, which is very important. And then highlight partnerships. Anyone that's going to be working with you on this particular endeavor, you want to highlight what their role will be as you move forward. Next slide. So I talked a little bit earlier about the matching requirements. And there are several ways you can do a matching requirement. You can either utilize, if you own some property and you have ownership of that property, and this is going to be part of the project, you can show through the property that you have matching funds. If you are going to be utilizing cash, you can support it by showing with your cash status. You can also support it through business loans or equipment loans. If you have business loans and this is part of this particular project, you would want to highlight that and include that as part of the portfolio under the marketing, or not the marketing, excuse me, the budgeting section. And then you are permitted to go back for prior investments and prior funds that you have received up to 12 months. So to say if you, for whatever reason, you received a loan 6 months ago, and you know, it's not like the loan's right there, you're getting it today, but you received it 6 months, but it's part of the portfolio, you'd want to highlight that and show that this is part of the matching funds. So I'll stop before I go to my next slide and ask, are there any questions based on what I have covered thus far? And don't be shy. Well, if you think of anything, just feel free to raise your hand and I'll pause and address it at that time. There will be plenty of time to address the questions at the end. Next slide, please. Required supporting documentation. It's really important that you have information to be able to support from a historical perspective what it is that you would like to do. And we provide some examples of supporting documentation. Annual report, insurance documentation. We talked about the organizational logo, leadership roster, which is important. You'll want to include resumes of key staff and what their role is within this particular project. And that falls right into 5, the staff resumes, your project manager, if you have project manager, if you have a marketing director, if you have any financial director, any key staff member that's going to be a part of this project, we would like to know. And then I talked about the importance of the detailed budget, making sure that you're able to show what you're requesting and also show the matching funds for this particular endeavor. Next slide, please. So the 3 paths to generational impact, as we talked about: healthcare initiative, construction trades, home ownership access. 4 years ago, when the commission was set up, these were 3 key areas that we said that we were going to work diligently towards. And this is, at this particular time, we were able to work with small business development, and I will be talking a little more about that later. But these are the 3 areas that we felt that would really impact from a generational aspect, not only a generational aspect, definitely needed in Erie County. So we talked about the disparities in healthcare. We talk about the differences in the construction trades and the home ownership access as far as one of the ways to build generational wealth. So we are currently, as I mentioned before, we are currently just targeting these 3 areas right now. Because from the very beginning, these were the areas that we decided really needed to be improved upon in Erie County. Next slide, please. So this is just some application tips for success. You know, be clear and direct and straightforward and concise in describing what it is that you would like to do. Demonstrate community input, whether you have surveys, whether you've had focus groups, or if you have testimonies. You'll want to include that as part of the packet and part of the application. Highlight experience. Talk about some of the key individuals from a leadership perspective, what they've been able to do in the community, in the state, and countrywide. Use data effectively. It's really important in building and submitting your application that you provide data to show that, hey, look, based on our perspective, whatever area that you're in, we see a need, we see a demand. It would be very important to supply that data so that the committee has an opportunity to review it. And in any type of detailed evaluations that you have done, any type of tracking, showing outcomes of how this particular project that you're looking to do, and if you have been doing it, how it's been successful, in particular as it pertains to the BIPOC community. And then showcase sustainability, which is really important, that, you know, we want these investments to go on long after the commission. So from your perspective, show what you believe this investment will do for Erie County from a sustainability perspective. Next slide, please. So in submitting your application, there's going to be asterisks on certain parts of the application, and the asterisks are very important because that's required information. So you have to complete those sections before you can even proceed on to other parts of the application. You'll want to double check matching fund documentation to make sure that your funding request and your budget is absolutely set up properly and absolutely accurate based on what you're going to be submitting. And if you're going to be submitting and supporting documentation, you'll want to upload that. There's a portion on the application where you can upload supporting documentation. And then there's a click button to submit the whole application, and then you'll get an email for verification. Now, if you run into any type of problems, most of you have met Ms. Devin Mitchell, who is my assistant. She would be more than happy to walk you through it and address this. And then the gentleman who's doing our overview, you can't see him, is Kyle McMillan. He is with Parker Strategy Group. They are part of our public relations team, so they would be able to help and walk you through any type of issues that you may have. This concludes my official part of as far as the presentation dealing with the application. But I will stop here and take any type of questions dealing with what we're attempting to do, or if you have any other questions as it pertains to diverse area, I'll be more than happy to address it. Yes, Chip.
Does this include for-profit and nonprofit?
It does. So the question is, does it include for-profit and nonprofit organizations? Yes.
Sure. And for the startups, that includes that also?
So, and that's a good question about startup. He asked about startups. For this particular initiative, this is really not set up for startups. So we're looking for organizations, companies, businesses that have been established. Questions? Yes, sure.
When you say between 100 and 250, so is 100 your minimum, or is it 50,000, 75,000 also?
Okay, that's a great question. Can everyone hear the question? So the 100,000 is the minimum to address your question. So it's 100,000 up to 250,000. So when we look at the buckets of money for the healthcare initiatives, it's a total of $400,000. The review committee could make recommendations that they receive, depending on how many applications they receive, and to say if they receive 10 and they decide that they want to fund 4, they could fund each one of them for 100,000, or they could do 2 for 200,000, 200,000, or 250 and 150. But the maximum in the bucket for the healthcare initiative is 400,000. For the home ownership is 250,000, and then for the trades is 250,000. But the minimum is 100,000. Yes.
Could please be more specific on construction trades, meaning creating more jobs, opportunities, or is that what it is?
So what we're looking for, and I'm glad you're asking the question, we're looking for organizations or companies that can demonstrate that they have individuals on the track to becoming an apprentice, or they're in an apprenticeship program, they're on the track to becoming a journeyman, a master journeyman, as it pertains to persons of color. So that's what we're looking for. So it has to be something where this organization has a relationship set up with some of the trade unions or with some of the schools, technical schools, the community college, and they're working in partnership to increase the outcomes as it pertains to persons of color in those areas.
And another one on the home ownership one, what exactly are you trying to achieve? Are you say I was a contracting company, is there any way I could be in that?
So that's a good question. The question is if you're like a construction company in the home ownership space.
Or also say either a landlord or a company that flips houses for living, or.
So what I would say to that, if you have an initiative where you're projected to improve the outcomes for the BIPOC community, people of color, whether you're flipping homes, whether you're a home development company, if you have some data that can show that this initiative, what the goals are and what the objectives are, is to improve the outcomes for home ownership as it pertains to people of color, then I would definitely submit an application, yes. Thank you for the questions. These are all good questions. Anyone else? Anyone else? So as you can see, the initiative that we have now is pretty specific, you know, with the home ownership, the healthcare initiative, as well as the construction and trades. That's what we're doing right now. What we're looking to do before the end of the year, and it probably would be the middle or latter part of October, and you'll see more information, will be the mini investments. And, you know, some call mini grants. I stay away from the grant word. Many investments that we're looking to do where it ranges from like 5,000 to 20,000. We look to do that initiative again because that initiative was very positive. And it was very helpful for a lot of small businesses. As I forestated, we invested in 54 small businesses to the tune of nearly $600,000. Those numbers may seem small, but they're not, because every dollar, and many of you are small business owners, you know for a fact, every dollar counts and every dollar helps. So the good thing about the mini investment initiative that we look to do before the end of the year, companies that have participated, and if they're in good standing, they would be eligible to apply again. So that's, whereas before, the second time we did it, it was really for new businesses that, when I say new businesses that had not received funding before. But when we do it again this time, it's going to be open up to, as well as companies that have not received funding, as well as companies that have received funding. So that will be something that you'll want to stay tuned to. And that will, of course, be on our website and social media. If you're not a part of the social media, I would highly recommend that you join us on social media because that is the way you're going to get the latest information and, of course, the most current information. And that's very important. Again, I would suggest that you get an opportunity to go look at our independent study, economic impact study, because it is really propelling, or compelling, shall I say. It's really compelling to show and illustrate the impact that the $3.5 million has made in Erie County, which is very important, especially in today's time, because as I have forestated at the beginning, unfortunately, it appears that everything, not appear, the reality is that everything is going backwards when it comes to investing and trying to assist persons of color. Yes.
Question. To your point that each area is pretty restricted or specific on what you're looking to do. If you do not receive qualified or applications that the committee deems that should be invested in, how would you reallocate? Do you have a reallocation plan for those funds, or is that something you'd have to look into post situation?
I think that's a great question. And that would be something that the Grants Review Committee would look into post error, if you will, if that comes up. And in saying that, Mr. Jones, what we would definitely be open to is hearing more from the community and getting input from the community to say, hey, look, have you considered this? Because we think that this would provide a solid impact into the targeted demographics that you're looking to improve. So we would definitely be open to that. Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up, because what I would suggest, and some of you have come to our meetings, we have Erie has board meetings every other month, and it is stated on our website or listed on our website. The schedule is listed on our website, but I would encourage you, and you can attend virtually or you can come in person, but I would attend coming to them, and there's an opportunity from the public to be heard. So if you want to come and share some thoughts, we're always open to that. And then if you have a presentation that you want the board to see, feel free to reach out to myself or Ms. Mitchell, and we will definitely put you down for a spot to come in. You get up to like 5 to 7 minutes to make a presentation just to share with the board about what it is that you're doing, maybe something that they haven't thought about. So we're always seeking new ideas. So thank you for bringing that up. And just be aware at any time, feel free to come to one of our board meetings and share what it is that you're doing, because what we have seen, the more the commission knows, the more the commission is aware of different initiatives, the better we can serve Erie County. Yes.
Another question if I may.
Sure.
So sitting in this room in this session, I can't speak for anyone.
Yes.
So let's say if I was to, I'd imagine some of us are like, dog, I really don't know that. I have a great idea, Don't know that I can match dollar for dollar at least 100,000 as a minimum. But man, I'm looking across the room and what my program or what my organization has in mind might match really well with what Mr. Clanton's organization or business has in mind. Is there an opportunity for co-application or whatever that would look like? I don't know what the language would be, but say if, one-on-one, as a contractor is doing X, Y, and Z with home journey training people, let's just say. And if Joe's Rentals is doing X, Y, and Z. They have the space, they're training the people, and we have the room to do the classes. Like, is there joint applications that could fit the criteria if one individual group can't?
So
And that's a long question, I
No,
apologize.
I think it's a superb question, by the way. And the answer to that is yes. So let me quantify that and clarify as far as to make it clear. So we encourage collaboration and partnering. The key to that is that only one application can be submitted. So, you don't have different applications saying, oh, we're gonna do the same thing. So one application, but if you wanna collaborate with someone and partner and say, look, we're gonna do this part of it, and the other group or the other team, organization, business is gonna do another part, and even a third part, a party, then absolutely, absolutely. And I would encourage that, to be honest with you, to look at some of the larger organizations that may be considering submitting an application and say, hey, look, you're gonna submit it and talk to them, or maybe encourage them to submit and say, you can do this part, and we can do this part, this other part, and we'll submit it as one and go from there. To me, that is one of the best ways that we can continue to improve Erie County. So if you're working on something and you've been working on it for a while and you say, look, in order for us to go to the next level and to meet some of the criteria with that application, whether it's matching funds or whatever it may be, I think it's an outstanding idea to approach some organizations and partner on it. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. That's a wonderful point. Yes.
So with partnering, you would be able to combine your income and use that as the match together.
So you would. So one of the things, so we don't take a look at income. I mean, we're gonna look at that, right? But it's not like one of the things that we look for matching funds. So from a matching fund perspective, we're looking for like property. We're looking for if you have any business loans. We're looking for if you have cash and you want to leverage that, that's fine as well. Or if you have equipment and you want to leverage that. Those are the type of things that we're considering as far as part of the match and leveraging. Did you have?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure. But, again, I like the thought process that is being considered here within this particular group. Opportunities to collaborate, opportunities to leverage. I think that goes a long way. And I can, although I cannot speak for the review board, I know that they would be extremely inviting of those type of scenarios. Yes, did you have a question?
No.
Oh, any other questions? Any other questions? Devin, if you could stand up, I know people probably know you already, but this is Devin Mitchell. She's my right-hand person. If you talk to her, she's very helpful. She works very diligently with the big commission, and just want to let her know that we appreciate it. Let's give Devin a round of applause. She's very shy. She does an outstanding job. She really does. So as I get ready to conclude, I'll end as I started. Please take a look at our website. If you're not on social media, please join us on social media. Please take a look at our schedule for board meetings. We would love to have you come. We would love to hear your thoughts, your ideas. It's really important to us. And just so, let me clarify the timeline, and it's in your handout. The applications are due by August 29th at 5 p.m. That's a Friday, the last Friday in August at 5 p.m. That goes by very quickly, so you want to start thinking about it and getting your thoughts together. Once the applications are submitted, an award will be made within 60 days. And the reason for that is a process we go through. Of course, we talked about the Grants Review Committee. They will take a look at it. They have to make a recommendation to the full board. And then the Erie County Planning Department will review applications, not to come against anything, but just from the aspect of from the U.S. Department of Treasury. So because of these entities, because of the various groups that have to review it, about 60 days, we look to make the award. And it is, and I need to say this as well, it is a reimbursement grant. So it's a little different, as some of you are familiar with the mini grants that we had done back in 23 and 24. The difference with this one is that you will be required to have documentation to show as far as the project cost, what you have invested in the project, what you perhaps have purchased, and then you get reimbursed. Which means is another aspect, it's important to have enough capital to be able to purchase what you needed to purchase to get reimbursed, which comes into the aspect of collaboration and partnering, because you may be able to use someone for that aspect, that they have the either the previous funding that they have bought some equipment, maybe some property, or if they were utilizing cash on hand, they will be able to match that. But I just wanted to let you know it is a reimbursement grant, which most of our investments, as I like to call it, most of these investments by the government are reimbursable. I mean, at this level, when you're talking 100,000 and above. But I really appreciate you taking the time this afternoon. Again, I'm a stickler for time. I don't believe in holding people. I grew up in the church, and I know some of you have grown up in the church, and sometimes it just goes on and on. I'm not gonna be that type of person today. I appreciate your time. I will be here to address any type of questions. If you thought of some questions before we leave, feel free. Devin will be here to address any questions. Also, this particular workshop will be on our website, and you can, if you want to go back and hear something, you can. We also will have the question and answer, frequent asked questions section on our website to address that. We will have this presentation on there as well, if you would like to download this at your convenience. So we'll have all this information out there. And if for whatever reason, because I know that we can't cover everything, even with all the information that we get out there, if you have any type of questions, feel free to email us, call us. We'll be more than happy to address it. But thank you again for taking the time this afternoon, and have a great afternoon.